Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Today's topic is not about bitterness, it's about clarity. It's about the silent strategies some women use in modern dating, and how high-value men, the stoic, grounded, emotionally intelligent few, are not only unmoved by these tactics, but outmaneuver them with grace, strength, and wisdom. In this video, you'll discover the timeless truths and sharpened insight of the man who leads, not chases, the man who commands respect, not attention, the man who plays no game because he is the prize. So sit back and listen closely. We're about to journey through the ancient and modern landscape of masculine power, discipline, and emotional mastery. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment to join this rising movement of powerful, stoic men. Chapter 1. The Power of Silence. How High-Value Men Disarm Manipulation. Without saying a word, in the modern dating landscape, many men have fallen into a trap. They're over-explaining themselves, defending every action, and chasing validation. But high-value men, truly stoic, grounded, and self-aware, know something crucial. The most powerful move is often no move at all. Let's go back in time to ancient Rome. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher king, was surrounded by political schemers and personal manipulators. But Marcus didn't respond with reactive emotion. He responded with stillness, with presence, with the power of quiet discernment. His enemies exhausted themselves playing games he refused to acknowledge. And that's the first law of high-value masculinity. A lion does not concern himself with the opinion of sheep. In the realm of dating and relationships, some women play covert games, testing boundaries, creating artificial scarcity, or using emotional bait to draw reactions. A woman may ignore your message just to see how you'll respond. She may suddenly become distant to see if you'll chase. These are not inherently evil moves. They are simply responses to insecurity, fear, or a need for validation. But a high-value man doesn't take the bait. He sees the game but doesn't flinch. Why? Because his attention is his currency. He does not react to pressure. He observes, evaluates, and then acts if necessary. Silence, when used strategically, becomes a weapon of emotional intelligence. When a woman tries to provoke jealousy, he doesn't spiral into confrontation. He remains calm because he knows something most men never learn. Energy flows where attention goes, and high-value men are masters of where they place their attention. This is how he outsmarts the game, not through manipulation in return, but through non-participation in the emotional chaos. This frustrates low-vibration behavior. It confuses those trying to trigger a reaction, and most importantly, it builds respect. Because here's a deep truth: women may test you, but they don't respect men who fail those tests. When you respond emotionally to manipulation, you signal weakness. When you remain composed and focused, you signal depth. You become an enigma, not an open book, and mystery breeds desire. Now contrast this with the average man. He's panicking when she pulls away. He over-texts. He double calls. He makes himself emotionally available to someone who is being strategically unavailable. This isn't love, it's addiction. It's the need for approval disguised as pursuit. High-value men break that cycle with self-control. They don't need closure. They don't beg for explanations. They don't need to prove themselves to someone who is inconsistent. Instead, they do what Roman generals and Zen masters did when surrounded by noise. They quiet the storm within, and that stillness becomes magnetic. Here's the twist: when a woman realizes that her tactics are ineffective, she's either forced to elevate her energy or exit the arena. Either way, you win. She'll either match your level or she'll walk away, clearing space for a woman who doesn't need to manipulate to feel secure. This is the true game: emotional sovereignty. As a man, the moment you become emotionally independent, you transcend manipulation. You no longer need to control women, you simply control yourself. And that alone reshapes every dynamic around you. You can love, but not lose yourself. You can give without abandoning your mission. You can listen without letting the noise enter your soul. Silence, focus, presence. These are not passive traits, and they are weapons sharpened by discipline and wisdom. And in the game of power, those who don't speak often hold the most strength. Drop a comment below. I attract through presence, not reaction. Chapter 2. Detachment is power. How high value. Men keep emotional leverage. There's a moment in every man's life when he realizes something profound. Love without self-respect is self-destruction. Many modern men confuse attachment with loyalty, but attachment rooted in insecurity leads to obsession, overgiving, and emotional chaos. And that's exactly where a high-value man separates himself. He leads with detachment, not desperation. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. To understand this, let's revisit the story of Odysseus, the legendary king in Homer's Odyssey. While countless men were lured by the song of the sirens, beautiful, tempting, and deadly, Odysseus had himself tied to the mast of his ship. Why? Because he understood something that modern men forget. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it serves your mission. This is detachment in its highest form, knowing your mission, your values, your truth, and refusing to be pulled into chaos by momentary pleasure or emotional manipulation. Many women today test men not to hurt them, but to see who they are without her approval. Will he fold when she withdraws? Will he beg when she gets distant? Will he sell his peace just to keep her interest? The high-value man does none of that. He doesn't beg, he doesn't chase, and he certainly doesn't lose sleep over inconsistent energy. Why? Because he understands a brutal truth. If you need her more than she needs you, the game is already over. Detachment gives you emotional leverage. It tells the world and her that your center of gravity is internal, that your value is not up for negotiation, that your peace is not for sale. This doesn't mean you don't care. On the contrary, and the high-value man can love deeply, but his love is disciplined. He gives from fullness, not from a deficit. And when a woman starts playing games, he doesn't retaliate, he disengages. Here's what happens next. His detachment forces reflection. A woman who expected you to chase will now confront herself. She'll ask why her tactics didn't work. She'll question her approach. She might even elevate her behavior to match your level. This is not manipulation. This is energetic leadership. Women are deeply intuitive. They can feel the difference between a man who's grounded and a man who's emotionally starving. The man who leads with detachment stands out because he is not emotionally needy. He is emotionally sovereign. He knows this truth. The more you chase what pulls away, the more you shrink in value. The more you stand still in your strength, the more you rise in power. Let's take a modern example. The man who starts dating a woman and suddenly loses himself. He stops focusing on his goals, drops his routine, and becomes emotionally available at every moment. What happens? She loses attraction, not because she's heartless, but because masculine value is rooted in direction, not submission. When a man abandons his mission for a woman, he silently tells her, "You are more important than my purpose." And no woman, not even the good ones, can deeply respect that. The solution? Build your life so powerfully that no woman can become your center, only your complement. This is how kings lived. This is how warriors trained. This is how great men of history led. Not through control, but through inner alignment. They chose women who honored their peace, not women who tested their sanity. If a woman becomes inconsistent, disrespectful, or tries to manipulate you, the high-value man doesn't argue. He doesn't explain his worth. He walks. Because walking away isn't weakness, it's authority. The modern man is terrified of losing access to a woman, but the high-value man is terrified of losing access to himself. When you master detachment, you master the art of romantic power. You date with clarity, you commit with purpose, you love with strength. And here's the irony, the moment you truly stop needing anyone is the moment everyone wants access to you. That's the power of detachment. Drop a comment below. I lead with purpose, not attachment. Chapter 3. Decoding Female Strategy: How High-Value Men See Through the Game. Without hate. One of the biggest traps in today's dating world is the emotional confusion caused by mixed signals, emotional testing, and strategic silence. But a high-value man doesn't get angry. He gets aware. He doesn't play a revenge game. He plays the long game, one built on observation, self-control, and deep emotional intelligence. To truly understand female behavior in relationships, you must remove ego. You must let go of blame and study the strategy. Because believe this, what appears to be manipulation is often insecurity in disguise. Let's look at the case of Cleopatra, the legendary Queen of Egypt. She captivated two of the most powerful Roman men in history, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But it wasn't just her beauty, it was her strategy. She used timing, emotional triggers, absence, allure, and unpredictability to influence outcomes in her favor. What does this teach us? That even powerful men fall when they are emotionally blind. That when a man loses sight of the game, he becomes part of it. And that's where the high-value man must rise, not through dominance, but through discernment. A high-value man doesn't hate the game. He understands it. Here's how he does it. 1. He observes patterns, not promises. Words are easy. Actions reveal intent. When a woman says she wants something serious but constantly posts thirst traps, disappears for days, or keeps you in a loop of inconsistency, the high-value man doesn't argue. He notices the pattern, not the potential. 2. He doesn't take tests personally. Modern women often unknowingly test a man's emotional strength. They push boundaries to see what they're dealing with. Will he lose his cool? Will he break under pressure? Will he trade his standards for her affection? A high-value man stays centered. He sees the test and passes it by, not participating in the chaos. He doesn't fight for love. He filters for alignment. 3. He controls access to his time and energy. Most men give too much too soon, texting all day, being emotionally available 24/7, responding instantly, all in the name of showing he cares. But high-value men flip the script when they protect their energy, because attention is currency. And women, whether consciously or not, value what's earned, not what's thrown at them. When a woman senses that a man's time must be earned, not expected, she steps into her feminine role naturally. Why? Because he's provided the masculine structure that inspires it. 4. He doesn't chase. Confusion. If her energy is inconsistent, if her words don't match her actions, if there's always drama, he doesn't try to fix it. He withdraws, not out of weakness, but because he refuses to self-abandon for temporary attention. And here's the key. When she realizes she can't move him emotionally with games, she will either evolve or exit. Either way, you win. Because the high-value man lives by this code. If you have to fight for a woman's respect, you've already lost her. He doesn't fight to be chosen. He simply chooses himself every single time. Look at history's greatest leaders, from Alexander the Great to samurai generals, and they didn't explain themselves to chaos. They observed, they adjusted, and they removed what didn't align with their mission. Apply the same in your romantic life. If her behavior consistently confuses you, if you find yourself overthinking, overinvesting, or doubting your value, she's not the problem. Your emotional boundaries are. Once you strengthen them, the games lose power. Once you know the rules, you no longer play blind. Once you choose clarity over chemistry, you elevate your entire experience with women. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. When you understand female strategy without reacting emotionally, you remain the calm center in the storm. That's the difference between average men and kings. A king doesn't hate the storm, he commands it by not allowing it inside his castle. So remember, she may test you, but she also wants to feel your strength, not through domination, but through direction, through consistency, through standards. She will stop playing the game the moment she realizes you don't need her to stop. You're already in control. Drop a comment below. I choose clarity over chaos. Chapter 4. The unshakable man, building the inner fortress she can't manipulate. At the core of every high-value man is something deeper than money, looks, or status. It's something the world doesn't teach and women can't fake. It's called inner mastery. This is the end game, becoming the kind of man who is so centered, so grounded, so clear in who he is, that no game, no emotional storm, no external distraction can move him off course. He doesn't chase. He doesn't fear loss. He doesn't bend to be liked. He becomes the mountain in a world of shifting sand. Let's take a look at one of history's greatest minds, Leonardo da Vinci. Women admired him, kings feared him, and rivals envied him. Why? Because his identity was not rooted in people's opinions. It was built on purpose, on discipline, on self-direction. The modern high-value man walks the same path. He's not perfect, but he's focused. He builds his life brick by brick in a way no woman can enter and tear down. And here's the truth most men never hear. You don't rise by being liked. You rise by being respected. That respect starts with how you treat yourself. Do you keep your word? Do you stay committed to your goals? Do you choose growth over comfort? Because if you don't respect yourself, no one else will. Especially not a woman who is wired to follow strength, not sympathy. Women will test your frame, not because they're cruel, but because they want to feel safe inside it. A man who wavers, panics, or loses himself under pressure doesn't create safety, he creates confusion. But a man who holds steady, a man who walks away from disrespect without anger, who stands firm in his boundaries, who can love fully, but never at the expense of his identity, that man becomes unforgettable. And here's something powerful. A woman may not consciously understand what you're doing, but she'll feel it. She'll feel your absence when you remove access to your peace. She'll feel your power when you calmly walk instead of argue. She'll feel your difference, not in your words, but in your energy. So that's how high-value men outsmart the game. They don't play it. They change the board. They don't react to every move. They build such a solid inner life that manipulation feels like background noise, irrelevant, powerless. And once you reach that level, you realize something incredible. Your value is not what you say. It's who you are, with or without her. Here's how to build that man. 1. Daily mastery. Rituals. Start each day with a practice that sharpens your mind and body. Whether it's cold showers, meditation, journaling, or training, you send a message to yourself. I am in control. 2. Mission over distraction. Your goals must come before her emotions. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It means never losing yourself to her mood swings. Stay mission-driven. Let her see that your purpose isn't shaken by love. It's sharpened by it. 3. Emotional self-leadership. Before you react, pause, breathe, ask, is this worth my peace? If not, walk. Because emotional maturity is not about suppressing emotions. It's about choosing which ones you let lead. 4. Selective access. Not every woman deserves your vulnerability, your presence, or your time. You are not a public park. You are a private fortress, and only those who respect the gates are invited inside. High-value men live by code, not convenience. They love fully, but detach when respect is lost. They offer safety, not submission. They bring structure, not chaos. And most importantly, they walk away not to prove a point, but because their soul is not for sale. So if she tries to test you, confuse you, provoke you, understand that's not the real problem. The real test is, can you remain you? Can you stay calm when she's uncertain? Can you walk away when your peace is threatened? Can you stay rooted in your truth no matter how beautiful the storm? If the answer is yes, you've won. Not just the game, you've won yourself. And that's the highest victory of all. Drop a comment below. I remain unshaken.